반짝이는 눈빛 눈이 부셔 매일 날 감싸주는 손길.
One day, Sari showed up at Dong Seok's office without warning. He was surprised to see her but even more shocked when she handed him a brown envelope. Inside was something that made his eyes widen. Important documents that would help the Eagle Brewery. Sari had recently discovered that her parents, Dong Seok and Jang Mie, had once worked at Eagle Brewery. She had been curious about why her family had a bad history with the company, so she began asking questions. She went to O Jang Su hoping he would tell her the truth, but he couldn't bring himself to explain. Still, Sari didn't give up. No matter the weather, she kept visiting the brewery every day, asking and searching for answers. The employees became nervous about her persistence. Even the factory manager, Go Jadong, began to feel uncomfortable. One day, he sighed and picked up the phone to call Jang Mie. He asked her to come and help as Sari was coming every day and refusing to stop. Soon, Jang Mie arrived at the brewery and met Go Jadong. She quietly asked where Sari was. At that moment, Sari happened to be walking by and overheard their conversation. Hearing Jang Mie call the factory manager Oppa made Sari stop in her tracks. The next morning, Sari came back again. She found Go Jadong and politely asked him to tell her what really happened with her parents. Go Jadong hesitated, then finally spoke. He told her that her parents had once worked at the brewery but one day ran away after stealing a large sum of money. That stolen money, he said, was used to start what is now known as Sheila Distillery. Sari stood there in shock and then broke down in tears. She apologized over and over, then left the factory with her heart heavy. Back at home, she looked pale and exhausted. That evening, her father, Dong Seok, noticed something was off and asked if something was wrong. Sari asked him directly if he and her mother had really stolen money from Eagle Brewery. Her father reacted angrily and denied everything. He said it was all a false rumor and walked off to his room. But from his reaction, Sari felt more certain than ever he was hiding something. The next morning, after her father went to work, Sari quietly entered his room and searched through his drawers. There, she found an old envelope containing an accounting ledger. When she opened it, she saw handwritten notes and numbers and clear proof that her father had taken money, notes saying it was used to start Sheila Distillery. Holding the ledger close, Sari cried again. The truth was now clear, but instead of confronting her father right away, she went to see Dong Seok. She asked him to use the documents to help the Eagle Brewery. When Dong Seok read through the ledger, he couldn't believe what he saw. Sari asked him to return the stolen money on her father's behalf so she could live without shame. He nodded silently, agreeing to help. That night, Dong Seok called Dong Seok. He told him that Sari had given him the ledger and asked that he return the money to the brewery. If he didn't, Dong Seok said he would go public with the evidence and report him for theft. Dong Seok was silent, unable to speak. After a long time sitting in silence, he made a decision. He gathered a large amount of cash and went to Eagle Brewery. When he arrived, Ma Gwang Suk looked up and their eyes met. They stared at each other without saying a word. Dong Seok then slowly placed a leather bag on the table. Inside were neatly stacked bundles of cash. Everything he had taken now returned.
'Cause you are beautiful, a beautiful stranger.